How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. LA is a trip. I'm from New York, so there's some pressures going on, but I'm dealing with it the best way I can. Again, thank you, Anthony. My name is Valerie Complex. I am an assistant editor and film writer and podcast host at Deadline. So I am the host of Bottoms panel, and so before I introduce everyone, I want to show you guys a clip from the movie. Who's seen the movie? Raise your hand. Oh, okay. So you know what kind of good time, what kind of crazy time this movie is. If you haven't seen it, you should. You should see it with friends. So roll the clip. Yeah, that's one of the many crazy, wild scenes in that film. It's one of my favorites, and it's very, very violent, which I enjoy. So I'm going to bring everyone out. I want to bring out the director, Emma Seligman, actress Rachel Sennott, and producer Allison Small. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. My first question is what is the think tank like to come up with something like that? To come up with something that is full of queer context, but also a mix of transgressiveness with violence and femininity and all of that. How'd you guys come up with this concept?
I think, at the time, Rachel's such a funny comedian for anyone who doesn't know, and her brain is so wild and expansive, and we came up with it over a whiteboard, and
I was gonna say,
it was the whiteboard. You need a whiteboard.
We posted a photo. It's like the most random ideas. I'm really energetic. I haven't done a Q&A for this movie yet. So I'm gonna shout. I'm really happy. We basically just wrote everything we wanted to see in a movie on the board. Yeah. So we were punching, vagina, period, knitting, a bomb, that was where we started. And we really had it was so, we were started writing it, we were still in school, and we never really thought that we would get to the stage where people would be no bomb, so we were a bomb, we just went all out, just not thinking of any limits, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it helped that at the same time we were writing, or I was writing something we were working on that was extremely limited budget-wise, and so with this, it was just how can we make a movie that threads all of these things together?
And when we talk about cinema today and queer context instead of subtext, why was that important to you to make this as, queer as possible and something that people can see and notice and not have to look for the clues or whatever?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, that's all I want to see, so
Yeah.
I think I'm tired of sort of having to find the clues myself, and I'd rather just see gay characters being gay and or queers being queers in general, and not have that be the plot. I think if they're as gay as possible in terms of that's their identity, you get that out of the way, and then you can just have a regular movie, you know what I mean, where there's no other, it just doesn't need to cloud the story at all. So that felt important to us.
Yeah, not make it be clues, but also not make it be exposition, where every second they're hey, how are you, gay? And they're gay. I am gay too. Sad, happy, gay. It's so much. It's I think we wanted what you were saying of just to make these characters who they are and not have to make them perfect people and then just make a crazy storyline.
And Allison, can you talk about what the process was to bring something like this to life? I guess first I want to know what you thought when you first saw the script, and then second, how am I going to bring all of these pieces together to make sure that this gets made in the vision that they foresaw for it?
Yeah, I mean, when I first read the script, it was just the funniest, weirdest, but also really smartest script I had ever read. It's so rare that you read a script and you're actually laughing out loud, and it's you're on page 20, and I'm I love this, I don't care what else happens. And I just was like, I have to be involved with this movie. I have to help them get this movie made. And it was really kind of about finding the right partner to pay for it. And almost everyone said no. And then when we sent it to Alana Mayo, who had just started at Orion, it was just, she just kind of got it. And I think from the very beginning, we could tell that she was going to be a great supporter of Emma and Rachel, and really kind of worked tirelessly to get them what they needed to make that movie. And it just was obvious that she was the right partner. And honestly, it was a lot of work to get there, but once we sort of found her, it felt like it all came together because it was people who got it.
Rachel, I wanted to ask you what the stunt work was like working, orchestrating these fight scenes and being a part of them. And these are not like small fight scenes. These are like tons of people running around, is mad violent, which I like, by the way. And, and making sure that it looks good on camera. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we did boot camp. It was really fun. It was like definitely a way for the cast to bond early on. It's like you're there and then you're like, Kaya Gerber, push me. It was literally like day one, everyone just met and we're all literally pushing each other. Felt very meta. And then we had this amazing stunt coordinator, Devin, who she on the first day was got really emotional, and she was like, this is the first time I've ever done something with an all-female stunt team. And then she literally she wipes away her tears and she's like, okay, now it's time to get serious. And so we just got into it. I think we were lucky because these girls are learning how to fight. So I wasn't playing what that Spartan 300 movie. I wasn't, I wasn't I'm a warrior. I was just a girl learning to punch. So that was really fun, and it's almost like dancing, which I'm bad at also. But it was fun to practice, and you build trust that way.
And Emma, can you talk about as a director how one navigates all of these different personalities and all these different people? The chemistry is there on screen. Clearly, there was a connection between all people, but as a director and, seeing through the lens and trying to navigate all these different things, can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think we were so lucky to work with incredible casting directors, Laura Rosenthal and Mary Beth Fox, and it felt like we had to create such a tapestry to create this, first of all, Fight Club, but the whole world, which is so surreal. And we always knew we wanted Rachel, obviously, and Io in it because we all went to school together, and Rachel and I would work together multiple times doing stand-up and sketches. So it was adding one piece at a time, to the puzzle of this movie. And I think we ended up with a wonderful, young, excited cast who all understood the tone and understood that they had to play it straight, and be deeply committed to their bits, and that would allow the ridiculousness of the world to flourish. And it was just a really, I don't know, Rachel was very involved in casting as well, and obviously Alison, so, I think you'd agree, it was just really understanding each person step by step, adding it to this whole world, and then it was pretty easy to navigate. Rachel and I were such talented comedians and improvisers, and I think they kind of steered the ship in a way for the rest of the cast in terms of allowing them to feel comfortable to jump in as well. And usually I feel when you're working with such an ensemble, you have to change how you direct each actor. Do you know what I mean? Because every actor likes to be talked to in a different way, but everyone kind of just got it. Yeah.
And so Marshawn Lynch, right? Let me tell you something. When I saw him come on screen, he was such a natural.
Marshawn was actually Alana's idea. I can't take credit for that, but we wanted someone unexpected. We wanted someone that would make people have that reaction. And then we watched his episode in Murderville, which if anyone hasn't seen, they gotta check it out. Which we know he improvised the whole thing. And we just wanted someone who could do them and play their bit and make fun of their personality slightly. He's playing this teacher who doesn't know anything about feminism, but is trying to be an ally and going through his own journey, which is really beautiful. But he was so he was such a natural. Like, it was so wild watching him work. I mean, I and Rachel were like having to like hold back.
If you look at like our backs in the scene where he's like, I trusted you two, it's like we're shaking. Because he would just go for like a 15-minute take, just like rolling off the cuff. Like,
he's so self-effacing about it. He'd be like, that was brilliant. He'd be like, I don't know.
No, literally like 15 minutes of the funniest thing, and then he's like, we have to do it again. I'm like, no, this is, yeah. He's incredible. And I think like also like, we liked that added layer. Like, he used to be on the football team. It was so fun. My dad and my brother were obsessed. They finally respect me. But it was cool to like get, and I think like seeing his fan base behind the movie too, sort of like being like, interesting that Marshawn is in this, and then be like pleasantly surprised, I think was really cool too.
Allison, I wanted to ask, like, how, as a producer and as a woman in Hollywood, how does one handle those no's that they get with narratives that they absolutely 110% believe in? And people are like, no, you know, queer people don't exist, they don't need this, I don't get it, or whatever. How do you deal with that?
Oh man, I mean, I think I just was kind of like laser focused on a mission, like we're gonna figure out a way to get this movie made. My plan B and C was probably to make it for a lot less money and to just sort of cobble it together, but like, I mean, I was just really annoying, honestly. I think at like a certain point, I just accepted like, I'm gonna be that person who is calling and being like, you gotta watch Sugar Baby first, and then you gotta read the script, and you gotta meet with her, and I just kind of got over like trying to be cool about it, and called everyone I knew. I mean, honestly, I don't know what would have happened if Alana hadn't like gotten the job at Orion. Everyone had passed on it, and she had just gotten the job, and she said yes, and you only need one yes. Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, I just was like, I'm not taking no for an answer. Like, we're getting this movie made somehow.
One last question that I have, which I know is kind of a big question, but what do you think is needed to push queer cinema forward these days? We have a lot of people creating a lot of different things, but it seems like things were making headway in 2019 when Portrait of a Lady on Fire came out and some other things, and now it's like we're back to subtext again. And how do we move past that to create things that are out and loud and just, you know, about the human experience as it relates to queerness as opposed to the opposite?
I think it's putting like power and control the same way with any other sort of minority or like underrepresented voice, like giving the power and control to queer filmmakers and to queer creatives, and not planning around like, oh, we need more of that, like whatever that sort of Portrait of a Lady on Fire, whatever it is, like we should do something in that queer vein.
Right.
Like, I think it's just allowing, like, I'm so excited to see what future generations of queer filmmakers do, and just in letting them, you know, do it. And I think also having more queer people in positions of power. I mean, Alana's queer and like got the movie and like was like, yeah, cool, do it. Like, there wasn't like I don't know what it would have been like if we had like a super straight studio exec being like, yeah, make sure you explain they're gay 10 times every scene, you know, like, so, to me, and then they're friends.
And they can high five a lot.
Yeah, that to me feels like just sort of more trust in all like independent, or, you know, people who come up from independent filmmaking, like giving them the power to sort of tell the stories and the perspectives they want to tell. I don't know.
I was just gonna say, basically I feel like a lot of our movies' success is from like 17-year-old girls making TikToks. Like, there was this sound from the movie of like the ugly untalented gays approach the office, and there were some incredible TikToks. I'm like, I want to see all of their movies. Like,
yeah,
they're already like creating stuff. They're all so funny. Like, I feel like it's there and not. So, guys, get to work.
Just give them money.
It's time to end high school. It's over. You're going into the workforce. But that I feel like that's the future.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Emma Seligman, Rachel Sennott, Allison Small.
Thank you.